Okay, here we go. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of A Maven's Tale. I am here with a wonderful woman named Lex. She is the mom of 2 Black boys and the wife of 1 Black man. But not only is he a Black man, but he is a Black man in law enforcement. I know that we have been talking about all of the issues that have been going on in America, and we've just been talking about police brutality, but we haven't gotten the other side. And I thought, what better way to do this than to basically bring on Lex and for her to tell her story on what it's like for her being the wife of a Black man and a mom of Black kids and someone that is in law enforcement. So welcome, Lex. Hey, girl.
Hey, thank you for having me.
My pleasure. You look absolutely beautiful. Your eyebrows are laced. I don't know how you had time to do it. So tell us about a little bit about yourself, Lex, and
You kind of summed it up already because I just consider myself a working wife and mom. I really don't pay too much attention to anything else right now because that takes up so much of my time. But I would have to say that I love music and I love God and I'm a sister friend, and that's me.
Yes, honey, sister friend. I love that. I love that, and I love music too.
hmm
I absolutely love music. So, other than that, um, you have 2 boys like myself. My oldest is now 21 and he's driving and all that good stuff. So there's a level of anxiety. Obviously you want to cover your kids and pray that everything is all right. It makes me angry because our color makes us a threat.
hmm
you know now that you have 2 boys and you have a husband that works for law enforcement, how do you juggle that, and how do you stay sane, especially in Trump America? How do you stay sane?
Well, for me, because my boys are so little, I don't think I'm dealing with what you're dealing with right now because they're still under my control. As far as my husband, because of his hours, I'm always a little apprehensive of him going out late at night. I'm like, make sure you got your badge out, make sure you have the color of the day if that's what you're doing, because I think they see black first, not blue.
Hmm.
Um, but I have to say that the secret really is God, because otherwise I'd be crazy. I can't spend my whole day in fear. And I just say, God, cover them, bring them home safely. And I don't go thinking he's not going to come home. I kiss you goodbye and you're going to come back to me. And if
Yeah,
you don't, you're going to have an issue.
I know in some cities they were talking about taking officers out of plain clothes and everybody wearing a uniform.
But are you talking about them disbanding the anti-crime unit, like the undercover?
If that's what it's called, yes. Yes.
Because I didn't really get a question. That's why I'm asking.
Oh, yes, yes.
So my husband did anti-crime,
Did
and
he?
they always had to. Yeah, he did. He
Okay.
always had to wear the color of the day on his arm, whatever that was. They change it, so of course, people don't know they're coming. But I don't necessarily agree with that because if you see police coming, you're gonna stop what you're doing. So how are we gonna get crime off the street?
Yeah.
I understand why they're doing it, but I don't think trying to appease the right way to go. I think we have some deep rooted issues as far as what comes out of a man's heart, so regardless of whether we disarm them or not, if I hate you, that's in my heart.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
You get
yeah.
what I'm saying? So I think we need to address that.
I think that is probably one of the most profound things that I've heard thus far. I have a lot of friends that are police officers. I have family that they're police. they would say how sometimes they have to check their partner or whoever they're paired up with because of the fact that they're coming from other neighborhoods.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you grew up somewhere, you're not going to be fearful of the town you grew up in because you kind of know the people that you're quote unquote policing.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that that has an impact on how people police our people?
I do because, like you said, if you're not used to a certain person and you are hearing of their threat or their this, their that, it's going to affect the way you view anybody that looks like that. But
Mm-hmm.
at the same time, I also wonder how do we put our in these neighborhoods to police them and at the same time protect them?
Mm-hmm.
So I think we need to put us around the same people, but I don't know if you can necessarily police your own home because there might be a level of comfort and then things come into question of, oh, I'm going to let this slide and this one I don't. You get what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
I think you need to be around your people, but I don't know if I'd be comfortable with my husband policing our neighborhood, so to speak.
So since you brought that up, I just wanted to bring up an example. Now this was obviously years ago, but there were corrupt police in Oakland, California,
Mm-hmm.
and that's when the Black Panther Party was just like, we're going to police our neighborhood.
Mm-hmm.
Now, obviously, that didn't work out too well with the government, but what they did was they did start a movement where they brought their people together. They started the WIC program for women and infants, so there was some positive that came out of it, but, it didn't end. In history, it seems as if when we are responsible for ourselves, there was a difference. However, it seems like the young people now are a lot different from even when we were young. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So, how does your husband feel with the protest? I'm not sure if once George Floyd passed away, are they protesting and is he involved in kind of settling the protesters or just
I don't know exactly how he felt because he didn't really talk about it, but it was basically trying to protect property, protect people, because there was such tension that you could feel, and it was a lot of hate. And then we had people who were trying to infiltrate it, who, people were protesting peacefully, but then you had the looters coming and you had people to give it a bad name. So he encountered everything. He had stuff thrown at him, he was hit with things. So, I
okay?
don't know if he was necessarily blue at that time or if he was just a man.
Yeah.
You have to have a certain level of restraint
Yeah.
because people, they don't see you as an individual. They just see, like us, how we don't want to be seen, just for the color of our skin. They're seen for their uniform. But he is okay.
Okay. That's good. So, do you think that there is like the movie I keep on referring back to movies just because life imitates art. Like the movie Black and Blue, I don't know if you saw that. You saw it, and
Hmm.
how there was a code within the police department, and when officer she was trying to blow the whistle and they came for her hard. So do you think that there's a level of don't say nothing?
I don't know if it's in the lower ranks because they're newer blood. I think with the older blood, those have been on a long time. I think there is. Um, and I think, and I've known people who have tried to speak out, and there is a certain level of retaliation, even if it's subtle, because you can't just come out and say, this because you did that.
Mm,
Um, but yes, I do.
okay. In Atlanta, after the Rayshard Brooks shooting,
Mm-hmm.
and the mayor Keisha Lance Bottom,
Mm-hmm.
she fired the officers immediately, even after during one protest where the officers had tased a couple in a car. she fired them immediately too. And after they brought up charges after the Ray Shard incident, cops called in sick, and they were now retaliating against the mayor, saying, well, they're not going to work
Mhm.
because of the fact that she fired them. And I think the same thing happened with de Blasio here in New York, because his son is black and the cops turned their
Mhm.
back on him. Like, how do you bridge that divide? How do you?
I don't get to see that. Besides on the news, I don't see that type of interaction because of my husband, because of his friends, and because of people we know. I don't see that hate besides on the TV. So I don't even know where to start with that because I think it has to be reform, which they're trying to do now. But like I said, how do we get the root out of people, that hatred and that bias? I don't know if a law is going to do that.
You're absolutely
I
right.
just don't know.
You're absolutely right. It's something that's ingrained. And I wanted to talk to you because obviously you see things from a different perspective, and everybody's not perfect, but there has to be some type of solution. Yes, we pray. Yes, we believe God. Yes, we protest. But we've been praying, believing God, and protesting now for years. What do we do?
My husband loves to say that he got on to make the force a better place.
Mm.
A lot of young men saying I would never join them. So, I mean, if you want to make a change, I feel you got to be the change. And then when you come and you police your cities, maybe they can say to you what they say to my husband of you're one of the good ones. You know,
Mm.
when someone is arrested, there's no longer any need to beat on them.
Yeah,
You have them
yeah,
under control.
yeah.
If they're hungry, you take them to McDonald's, you know? And so I see those stories. It's not just the white cops that we see on TV doing that. I see it and I hear about it firsthand. So if you want to be that change, apply because our men are strong. And I think that's what they see. Our black men have this God given strength that can be seen as a threat.
Hmm.
So I feel like we got to use that for good and take our communities back.
I'm glad your husband is one of the good ones,
Me too.
and
Otherwise, he'd have
I'm
to
sure his
be.
spirit will infiltrate that department. And look. I'm not going for
He's not
that.
he's not the only one. So we have some good people on there. I'm hoping that in every state there is.
Mhm.
But I know that he's one of the good ones.
That's good. And he works with other men of color.
Every nationality, but yeah, there are other men of color who have been his partners or just in the office, and women of color.
Good. See, it's hard when you have the old blood.
Hmm.
Oh, when you have the old
They
blood.
come from that way of thinking. That was the way they were taught. That was ingrained in them. So, and they policed our neighborhoods and then go back to their mansions. And
Did you have any opinions about the situation with Amy Cooper?
that was the lady in Central Park.
Yes.
From what I heard or read on social media, I just think that's another bias and it's showing your white privilege of I can say whatever I want to say and get you in trouble just because you're black.
Hmm.
And that's not all right. So the legislation that they're trying to pass now, as far as making that a race crime and making it, you can't just call the police and say what you want on people. I think that's good, but I think it should go both ways. Like I don't like this white against black, blue against black. It's
I agree. I agree.
my experience with an officer was with one of us, and like I said, I feel like the attitude that some people take on, and that's why I don't like the talking of just the police because they're white, because
Mhm.
some of us as well,
Yeah.
and there has to be a level of respect. You know, there has to be a certain level of respect. This man's attitude was very nasty,
Mhm.
talking to me, and
Mhm.
I wasn't a threat.
Mhm.
So I can never just judge one group. by somebody's actions. And I don't want our people to do that. I don't think all black people are bad. I don't think all white people are good. I don't think all cops are bad. I think we have to look at the individual and take it for what it is.
Because everybody says, "Oh, they're just a few bad apples," whether they be black, white, Hispanic, Asian, whomever
Mm-hmm.
in the bunch. But when their colleagues don't come out and say, "Yo, bro, that's not it," and they allow certain things to go on, then it's just like, what do you do?
Well, we don't know if they haven't said anything. And we don't know if they did. I feel like because they haven't gotten in trouble where we can see it, where it's televised on TV, that the other ones feel they can operate however they want. But I know personally of cops that have been spoken to of you didn't have to handle it that way.
Mhm.
We don't do it like that. You put a little too much extra force on. And that doesn't get to the public. So it is being spoken of, I feel like in certain groups, but it's not being projected to us where we can say, oh yeah, they are something making a difference. We just want them to be reprimanded, and until they have those laws where they say, oh, I can't do this at all, I might lose my pension, I might lose my job, they feel, so what? I don't need to listen.
That is probably what would make the difference. Like the
Mm-hmm.
Eric Gardner situation. And I'm just like, I understand that you are protecting your own, but somebody lost their life behind nothing. Then you look at the Philando Castile. I mean, the list can go on and on and on. Even there was an officer in Florida. There was I think he was like a psychotherapist or mentally ill people, and he was on the ground trying to talk to the
I think I saw that.
yeah, and the cop shot him, and then he asked him, but he lived, thank God. And he asked him, "Why did you shoot me?" And the cop said, "I don't know."
I didn't hear that.
And this was a few years ago. So like when I say certain things, it's just like you want everybody's just like, well, you need to comply, you need to do this, you need to do that, but we're not trained to de-escalate. Y'all are taught to de-escalate situations, and but I guess some days you just that badge. Sometimes it brings about a level of, like you said, I'm bigger and I'm stronger than you. I'm more powerful than you.
My husband was telling me that sometimes we don't understand how fast they have to think and make decisions under pressure.
Mhm.
Um, so when you have a split second to make a decision and your biases are, in your head and you're fearful, I think that's where people make the wrong decision.
So, do you know if they have to shoot, not shoot to kill, maybe like wound something that does not involve somebody's life being taken? Can it get the leg or you know, an arm or something?
We actually had this conversation, and that's not the training because if you're shooting at me or you're coming at me, if I shoot you in the arm, you can still move. They want to take out that threat. And I think the training is good for a threat. What we're seeing on TV is these people are not threatening. So that's not needed. So it's about judgment and when you need to use that. There's nothing about that situation, in my opinion, where you were in danger. You had it under control.
And everybody views threats or views what's a threat differently.
Right. So if I'm 5'6" and you're 6'2", and you're big and husky, I might see it as a threat
Just because you're big.
because you're big. And just because you're black.
What we gonna do, Lex? Like, what can we do? Us as obviously you're the wife of, but as regular civilians, what can we do besides, call our representatives, our politicians, and call the offices of the different departments. What can we do to ensure that our kids don't share the same fate as a lot of us?
I think we continue to have these difficult talks. I know I've been spoken to a lot by a lot of different companies about how you're feeling, what do you need, what's going on, and people weren't ready to do that before because it was pushed under the rug. Now we're having these hard conversations. I also think we need to get involved in the community affairs. So the police departments do have community affairs where they have National Night Out and they get to know who's in the neighborhood. We have to try to build and bridge this level of trust that isn't there. And then we have to be willing to sit down at the table and actually hear each other, not talk at each other
Mm,
and move
yes.
from there.
Have you thought of like being a representative of like not necessarily getting people together to have the community affair, but like trying to bridge that gap between civilian and law enforcement?
At this time, no, I haven't. I was thinking about doing something for the wives, well, the spouses of law enforcement, just so we didn't feel so alone. Because right now, the climate is not really conducive for that. If you
Yeah.
are friends with a police officer, but outreach is one of my loves and dear to my heart, so maybe in the future, but I think we need to calm down a little bit first, because if you just see that blue coming, if you just see someone who's speaking pro police, so to speak, you
Mhm.
might put them off and
Yeah.
the work doesn't get done.
Yeah. I think especially if having a wives
Hmm.
circled, I think that would be great with wives of all colors,
Right.
because sometimes the husband is sanctified by the wife and the wife is sanctified by the husband, right?
Hmm.
So sometimes, and the husbands are the head. However, if we're that neck, that's holding up that head, we can move it any way that we want to. So if you're able to infiltrate, the wives' hearts,
Hmm.
so that they go home to their husband, and they're just like, did you know that so and so, had so and so happen to? I think we need to, you know,
Right.
like get them from all angles, not just change your procedures, but sometimes penetrate their heart.
The heart, because I can operate under a law, but when I go back, I still go back home with my heart. What's in my heart? I just did it for those 8 hours, but I still have that hate in my heart. So yes, I totally agree.
All right, so this is my last question because I know mommy duties is calling. How do you cope?
Well, it brings me back to my faith. Um, that's gotten me through everything. Because, like I said, I can't live in fear. So I pray over my family and I keep it moving. I just don't know what else to do. It's not even a thought anymore. It's we pray, I kiss you goodbye, and you're coming home. Now, my answer might be a little different when my boys get older. Like I said, right now they're with me, so I feel like I have control over their actions. I don't know exactly how I feel or what I would do once they can move on their own. We'll have to revisit that. You have to give me some pointers.
A whole lot of anxiety. I don't know if that contributed to my autoimmune diseases, but it's hard. It's
What
hard.
do you tell him, though?
Hmm.
What do you tell him?
Oh, my husband and I, we are so candid. There is nothing that I don't share with him in regards to, even after Trayvon and the whole hoodie thing. When he drives with his hood on, I'm just like, are you crazy? Like my son, he doesn't look threatening at all. You've seen him. He's lanky, but still I constantly have those conversations, and so does my husband with him. And I pray that having these type of discussions that I'm having with you brings about change, because I think you and me, your husband, and a few other people that I know are crazy enough to think that we can change the world.
That's what we were taught.
Yeah, we're crazy enough, radical enough to think that we can change the world.
One person at a time.
Yeah.
A lot of people think, oh, I can't reach a million people at once. You can reach that one person, and they'll reach another person, and we keep going, and you reached a million people.
Yep. Well, I just want to say thank you. I want to say thank you. I want to say thank you and thank you to your husband because I know it's not easy.
It's not. I'm sure there's a lot of stuff he doesn't tell me.
Of course.
Dealing with the job.
Of course.
So yeah.
Because he doesn't want you to worry. But I am definitely praying for you and him. And I don't know what else to say but change.
Mm-hmm.
Like that is the operative word for this year. 2020 is a beast. It's a mark of a beast. Girl, it's real, but change, growth, change. Change is not always easy, but it's necessary.
And it doesn't always feel good, but it's necessary.
So, Lex, I just want to say thank you 1,000 times over for doing this and telling your story. I'm sure that it will resonate with many.
Thank you for thinking of me, and thank you for having me, and keep doing what you're doing.
Anytime. Anytime.
Next time on A Maven's Tale, following the recent news about Jada and August Alsina, the sisters and I get candid for a one-on-one sit-down about marriage and what it really means. You don't want to miss it.